Krishna, and a very warm welcome to the 2024 Valentine's Day talk brought to you by the ISKCON Vaishnavi Ministry. Today we are joined by Uttama and Partha Prabhus from the Grihastha Vision Team, who will be speaking to us on the topic of understanding our values. Partha and Uttama Prabhus have been married since 1971 and took initiation together from Srila Prabhupada in 1973. They share 3 creative children and 8 grandchildren. They currently reside in Saranagati Dhama, Canada. They are the founding members of the Grihastha Vision Team since 2004. Together, they have facilitated Grihastha Vision Team seminars in South Africa, Ireland, England, India, Trinidad, Guyana, Brazil, Chile, Russia, and many European countries, along with Canada and the US. Uttama Prabhu has taken relationship education training from Prepare and Enrich Canada, Dasi Ziyad Family Institute, and Compassion Power. She also has Gottman Level 2 clinical couples training and is a graduate of the Developmental model of couples therapy training under Ellyn Bader Ph.D. at the Couples Institute. Partha Prabhu is solemnized to perform legal marriages by the province of British Columbia, which he has done after sufficiently counseling the couples. He is certified by the Dasi Ziyad Family Institute to administer the Vaishnavi 108 Infantry and Premarital and Marriage Spiritual Strengths-Based Relationship Program, along with skill-building courses by various other marital therapists, including Level 1 Gottman Clinical Couples Therapy. Thank you both so much for taking out the time from your busy schedules to be with us today and share your valuable wisdom. Before we go any further, we'd like to begin by inviting Srila Prabhupada into the room just by saying his pranam mantras. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya,
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani.
So we'll move on to the next set. Earlier on in our conversation, there was mention of our values potentially changing. So at what point should we reevaluate whether our values should change so that it's optimal for our growth and maturity?
When we're feeling uncomfortable and when things don't seem to be working well for us. Also, sometimes maybe we need to change our values, and maybe sometime we're forgetting about our important values. Because usually when we're experiencing some unhappiness, it's because we're not living our values. So sometimes, yes, maybe our values need realigning and readjusting. And sometimes maybe we've just forgotten about our really important ones.
So that makes me think of, like, sometimes when something is really difficult, you're sort of encouraged to persevere. So how do you know whether sometimes it's just a difficult value for me? Maybe I'm just really struggling to get it together and it's a challenge. So how do I know when I should persevere or when I should just be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm really living against the grain of what I'm meant to do.
Well, there's challenges. Challenge is always going to be there, and challenge is good because the challenge helps us to grow. And like they say, a diamond was just a piece of coal that was put under a lot of pressure. At the same time, we don't want to feel in such a great difficulty or under so much pressure that we feel like we're going to snap or break or, become chronically depressed. That would definitely be a signal that we have to reevaluate our situation and our values. But I think, as Uttama was saying, it's important to have that sense for making progress and moving towards the goal.
Srila Prabhupada also said that the quartiles were the measurement of our success. I don't know if he used the word success, but he was just saying if we have that taste to pick up the kartals and chant, we're probably doing fairly well in our life, and we're aligned with our values. I say if we're losing our taste for Krishna consciousness, we're probably not in alignment with our values. Something's a little bit off.
Sure. I'm actually just so blown away by that, because it's basically saying that if we're living in a space where we're grounded and satisfied, spiritually also we will thrive. So almost gauging where we are spiritually is sort of in line with how we're living our values. So the two are actually so very much intertwined. So,
and usually when we're just not listening, our body starts shouting. You'll get sick. You'll get weird things that they don't have a cause, you know, aches and pains, funny diseases that you can't find the cause for. That's usually, I'm not living my values. I'm in a situation that needs some change.
And also, I think that's very important. Also, the concept of understanding how being grounded in your spirituality and your spiritual practices, that gives you the strength to go out and face the world and the challenges and obstacles. And then you come back and you can refresh yourself in that grounding element of your spiritual practices. And also in a healthy marriage, also that gives you a grounded, stable base in which you can come and refresh yourself and then go out and also face the world and its challenges.
And we also find that, you know, the better we chant our japa, the more connected we are with Super Soul, and we can actually ascertain the right choices to make.
I think I think our relationship with Krishna also plays such a huge part in how we show up in all our other relationships, actually, because that's the relationship that sort of anchors us. And from that, everything else sort of also falls into place in a way. But I also feel that our relationships and interactions with each other is also like a teaching ground of how we can have a relationship with Krishna. Because like you were saying earlier, it's this thing of your spouse is going to teach you humility and tolerance. And these are all the aspects that we need to have a better relationship with Krishna. So it's sort of like all the relationships come together in that sense. And when we have a better relationship with Krishna, we can serve each other better. And then there's a lot more harmony in that sense. So even in terms of, again, going back to this aspect of values, and I think we did touch on it as a little bit earlier, and just like flipping this perspective a little bit, is that obviously our values change. Generally through life, we do see that when we're younger, we want to have fun and kind of be a bit carefree. And then when you get older, you want that stability. So how do we assess if the change in our values is actually due to growth and maturity, or if it's as a result of bad association, for example?
Well, the reverse of that is good association will help you make the right decisions.
I think you're just going to find yourself in situations where you're thinking, how the heck did I get here? And then it's probably going to be, how the heck do I get out? Because you're stuck in those situations. And that's when you really have to do some hard work and do the introspection, find out what your values are, and really look hard for like-minded association, because that will help you get out of your rut, because we all need association and connection. And really, that's what the whole Valentine's Day hype is about. You know, who am I connected with? You know, what's that? Because romance is really highly overrated. One of my friends, she just wrote on her February mood board, she said, romance is highly overrated. Give me kindness. You know? So it's so true, because romance is, we associate it with sort of high feelings of euphoria, heightened feelings. But those are largely chemically produced. And what we're really looking for is connection. And that's because we're wired to be connected with Krishna. And how we get connected with Krishna is by connecting with people who are connected with Krishna. So we're back to the same point about association and living our values. So in order to experience that happiness and feeling of connection, safety, groundedness, feeling accepted and loved, that comes from our personal connection with Krishna and associating with like-minded people. And by their association and feeling connected with them, we get inspirations and happiness and groundedness also.
I was just listening to what you were saying earlier in terms of this aspect of it's highly charged with like butterfly emotions, this whole idea of romance. And I think nowadays, generally, this idea of love, is actually lust. It's a very airy, fairy kind of thing. And most of the time, we don't even know what the definition of love is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you like concluded it so beautifully in that point to say that it's just this idea of wanting to be connected with somebody, but connected to somebody in a deeper way without this need for like self-gain and just pure enjoyment, actually. Mm-hmm. So again, I think that's how that's actually the essence of our philosophy in a sense as well, is that it's this idea of service. And I think that's also a huge value also as devotees, and it's something that we'd look for in a potential partner actually as well, this idea of wanting to serve, not wanting to enjoy.
And somebody to serve with.
And going back, you were mentioning that about, again, coming back to value. And in relationships, especially marriage, a lot of the value in the relationships comes from what's referred to as emotional deposits if you can imagine an emotional bank account. And over 40 years of detailed research by one institute, Gottman Institute, they discovered that what makes marriages successful and lasting and enduring and couples maintain that sense of connection and love, it's many small things often. Small acts of service, different kinds of acknowledgments, appreciations, just little small exchanges. It's like putting a little deposit in the bank. Many, many times you end up with a very large reservoir of positive experiences. And couples who have those kind of very large emotional bank accounts, it's not that they don't have disagreements. It's not that they don't irritate each other. It's not that they don't have the occasional tiff, but they know how to repair those situations. And also they have such a large positive emotional bank account, the inevitable withdrawal, it's not that noticeable. Whereas couples who don't cultivate those kind of small, meaningful, loving exchanges and acts of service, they might have a very small reservoir of positivity. And then when there is a negative exchange, that becomes quite noticeable. And those relationships tend to have more difficulties. So in terms of a very important value is, we're talking about appreciation and respect. It's very important to have that, because that's what really builds that sense of value and worth in a relationship, is when you cultivate that. And it has to be something that's done consciously.
And regularly, not just chocolates and flowers on Valentine's Day. It won't cut it.
Yeah.
It'll help, but it's just only raise it up a little bit.
Thank you so much for that words of wisdom.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.